Hello, everyone, and welcome to CineQuest Video. Today, we're talking about a new Ghostbusters movie, Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. This film takes place a few years after Afterlife,
Yep.
conveniently. So, and we do follow the same family from the first
The Spanglers.
revamping, the
Yep, yep.
Spanglers, and they're back in New York. Thankfully,
Mhm.
right? We
Mhm.
couldn't like not have the fucking fire place, the
The f
Ghostbusters
the,
headquarters,
firehouse?
firehouse. Yeah, the headquarters of Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Um, and we start off immediately with them like taking on a call
Yeah.
and roaming through the streets.
Yeah. I mean, like, they really just sort of expanded the family, dynamic in all of this,
Right.
where it's all camp, where it's like, "Oh, you're not old enough," or, "No, like, I wanna drive, I'm an adult," with,
Yeah.
Finn Wolfhard's character. So I will say about, this that I like is that I like they seem to have a lot more dialogue between them.
Mhm.
I don't know, I don't remember as well, but Finn Wolfhard's character in the first one like
Well, he had
annoyed
he had
me.
he had more of a role
Yeah, he
in
had
that
more of
one
a
than he
role in
did
this
this
one. He had
one.
more lines, like, and he was more the comedy relief, which I was like, oh, okay, cool, this fits. Like, this is actually really good. Trevor, right? Um, because in the one before he was just annoying. He was just like moody and shit, standard teenager. Oh, I met a girl and I like her, and then it's like fuck off. And in this one, it's more like now that they're more of a I guess cohesive unit with Paul Rudd in there, sort of as the new dad. They're just like sort of bickering and sort of playing
Yeah,
off
but
each other.
just to kind of reiterate about the characters and stuff. We have Phoebe Grace. I mean Phoebe Spangler, who's McKenna Grace.
Yeah.
We do have Paul Rudd again. We just mentioned he's the dad, and then Carrie Coon, who's Kaylee Spangler. Um,
Yep.
again, the family dynamic. I didn't really see like I know Phil Wolfhard's kind of like more of a bit of a comedy relief,
Hmm.
but he really doesn't have much to do in this movie. You
No,
know,
he's
he's
just
kind of
kind of
just
chilling.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
mean, is I don't know if they had really any idea with in the story, like, what to do with him. I mean, they have to put him in there kind of, unless they, like, said, "Oh, he's off to college or something," but then
Yeah.
I'm assuming Finn Wolfhard is still a draw, like because of the Stranger Things thing. It's still
Yeah.
kind of, like, in its, the zeitgeist, I guess?
So, I mean, yes, yes, that's correct. Probably more than likely they're playing off of his, um,
His, celebrity, I guess,
yeah, that.
characters.
But the thing is that with this one, because like Lucky's character is not there with him, so he's just kind of like at his point, just he's at the age where he's trying to figure out like what he wants to do
Right.
necessarily, and like it's funny because for the most part, he doesn't really want to do anything. He just wants to live and just chill. He's
Yeah.
like, I don't, not really going to fucking school. It's not really like he's got a job, as a Ghostbuster. Nadim's character, Kumail Nanjiani. I
Yeah.
don't know the fucking hell that dude's name is, but like, I like their the way that they Trevor and him interact, because they're both basically the same character in this, where
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Nadim is making the joke. He's like, "Who's the better?" He's talking about his family. He's like, "Who's the better? The brother that goes and takes all the risks, to go to college and become an engineer, or the one that stays home without any education, without any drive, and has to tough it out." And he was being sarcastic, of course, like
Yeah.
this whole fucking time. I fucking love his character. He's just like a nonstop fucking like run of sarcastic bullshit, but like
Well, yeah, I
low.
mean,
It's
he's probably the
low.
more comedy relief person in this
Yeah,
movie.
it's a very like low key sarcasm. That means it's always there. It's always like in the background. But like Trevor, Finn Wolfhard's character is like, obviously, the guy that's doing nothing is like the more important one, the one that's taking the harder life. And Nadim is like, he's just like, yeah, right. Like, he's like, what do you mean? And then he's just like, okay, no. And then they kind of like each other after that, kind of because it's just like, oh, you're both idiots. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, and Nadim is like the he's like pretty much like a reseller, right? Like he pretty much just sells
Yeah,
junk.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When they get into his apartment, he's like, "Hey, you want some shoes? What's your shoe size?" And they're like, "Oh, 10 and a half. Do you think you could fit into an 8?" You know,
Yeah.
like, I really like him. This movie had a ton of comedy to it, like, and I really really enjoyed it. It was a lot more. I wasn't expecting it to be that funny. I really wasn't. But like every fucking character in this takes a crack at being hilarious.
Yeah.
um which I fucking like. There are just so many callbacks to Ghostbusters 2 in this
Yeah.
fucking movie. I loved it. I was hoping to see just like a few Easter eggs here and there, but like there were so fucking many. And then I was talking with my brother about it as we were coming back. Like there's this, and this. Like I'm not gonna go into any of it because it's firstly it's too much stuff, and I don't necessarily want to ruin it for
Yeah.
anyone going to check it out. You will enjoy it, seeing these things. But like I guess the easiest one, or most, maybe not the easiest, but like a good one that I'd like to point out, that like maybe isn't quite so obvious, is the parallels between the villain in this one and in Ghostbusters 2, Vigo.
Yeah.
Because like like the easiest thing is that they're both like these sort of conqueror, like demon slash deities, and they're both fucking sealed. So they're both like they were both sealed up over time. Like way the fuck Vigo's in a painting, this guy's in like a
Like a
fucking
metal.
brass metal ball,
Yeah.
and they both want to just escape and just fuck everything up, that kind of thing.
Well, just go off of that. This villain in this movie is brought about because Nadiv's family has been like hoarding this thing
And there's
because
another reference,
they
the
are the
firekeepers,
firekeepers, and he
right?
sees it like, and he, because he needs money, he goes to try and sell it, and he
Yeah.
goes to try and sell it to Ray Stantz, right? Who's still
Yes.
has Ray's a cult
Yes.
and is doing his YouTube show.
Yes. Yeah, there it
Yeah,
is
that
with podcast.
the
And
podcast
that
thing again,
favorite
yeah.
part, you're telling me about that and I looked for it. And it's like, my producer tells me I should say this.
Saying like and subscribe, and while you're here watching, you should like and subscribe to
Like
this channel
I
also.
fucking love Dan Aykroyd's like cheeseball, radio face and voice. Like he just
Yeah,
does. He fucking like immediately hooks in. Oh yeah, like and subscribe. Like
yeah.
he's so fucking like earnest about it.
I mean,
And
I'm glad he's not like hamming it up like he did in like Tommy Boy, like,
yeah,
I buy for the
I buy car parts from
price for
Rick.
the rack. Yeah, yeah. That's what I am, and that's what who I care about, you know?
Yeah.
But,
Um.
yeah, like, I like I just to keep going off of that,
Mhm.
I really enjoyed, and again, it's a good point that you brought up with the villains, because I didn't really even think about the comparisons,
Mhm.
but yes, that is a good observation. I the things about this movie I like, again, you said the
Both.
comedy and
Yeah.
the interactions with the old Ghostbusters
Both
and the new
Vigo and this
ones,
new
yeah.
villain have minions, just like
That's true, yeah.
they have a main minion. No spoilers or whatever. I did like though when the villain meets Nadim for the first time and straight up goes like, uh, that was more Ghostbusters one to me. He was like, "Are you the fire master?"
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, not when he first meets Nadim. He goes into the smoke shop and the guy's
yeah.
like, "Yeah, whatever. It's on the name of the and then, he just fucking kills him."
Yeah.
Um, I thought that was really cool. I
I
really liked
well,
the villain in
I
this movie.
again, I don't wanna bring up too much of the Ghostbusters Easter
Yeah,
eggs that they have
yeah,
in there, but I mean, they did a lot of things in this one kinda so, casually, I would say, like, they just kinda threw stuff in there to see, like, and
yeah.
it's blatant. I mean, if you've seen any of the Ghostbusters movie,
Right.
you can, I mean,
It
it's not,
doesn't
like,
seem.
completely, it's very blunt, like, it's
Yes,
in your
but
face about it.
it doesn't necessarily seem forced to me. Like, I don't know. I
I
kind of think that.
I would probably disagree with you on that.
Yeah, you think so?
I do think it was a little bit forced though, yeah.
It seems like it was a bit smoother to me. Like, but maybe it's because I'm just like enjoying it too much. Like with the
Yeah,
mayor, with
yeah.
like basically the same kind of story.
Well, no, like, oh, see, like, there's very specific things that I think were forced in this movie. I didn't really have too much of an issue with the fact that they did that, but I
Yeah.
just felt that it was just like it was there for some fan service,
So
but it was not necessary to any of the plot, anything going on.
so the way I sort of rationalize it to myself is, yeah, there was a ton of Easter egg shit in there, a lot of nostalgia factoring in. But again, like when I think of it as the fact is like the storyline for this one, it had a main story and then like a subplot. And I think the main story was not shot for shot, but pretty fucking close, almost to Ghostbusters
Was just
2. Now that I think about it, like the way the villains interact, the way they go in, their goals, the interactions between the Ghostbusters and the city, the Ghostbusters and like how everything develops like that. I think is this was just like they modernized Ghostbusters 2 and sort of just put it in there again, which is why I don't think it was forced because it's the
mm.
same shit just done over again.
No, no, no,
The subplot is where
when it
they
comes to
tried
the
to change it up a
actual
little,
when it comes to
I
the
thought.
storyline and, like, their, um you said putting, like, the comparisons to, like, Ghostbusters 2 or, like, the first Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
and it's in there. To me, the forced things were, um, kinda scenes that just weren't necessary, but they just threw it in there again for the fan service, and I'll just give one example.
Mhm.
Whenever they're in the library
Yes.
and, uh, Ray or Dan Aykroyd is walking through, and then he sees that fucking,
Yes.
like, ghost library, I was like, that right there was obviously, like, that was not
Yes.
necessary,
It wasn't, but
but
I
it was
love
there.
seeing it. I love
I
seeing
did
him, like,
too,
because he
but
has a double take. He's like, "What?"
yeah,
Like, I'm all for seeing
and then it comes up,
the old crew,
yeah,
yeah, do stuff,
yeah,
and then, like, deja vu moments or whatever, just I find it
yeah,
very amusing to be like, "What?" Again, like, okay, I don't necessarily think okay, I take it back that that was the main plot. I think that was, like, the background filler for the main storyline, which had to do with Phoebe's character,
right.
sort of having more development and sort of
See, the thing is
maturing, I guess, with her relationship with her family and shit. Because
what
in this,
she well,
Mhm.
I'm sorry to cut you off, is that she's kind of filling in the Finn Wolfhard character that
Right,
he
it's her turn
portrayed in the
to,
first one. It's her turn to, like, be
yeah,
the moody, emo,
yeah, very self-centered,
sulky.
very she's
Yeah,
just
kinda selfish. She's kinda like it's selfish, it's teenage selfishness,
right.
like, where they kinda
It's just teenage angst in that like nobody
yeah,
understands her, like she's just trying to do the right thing, but it's
right,
also because it's also in that it is very simplistic, and as a teenager or whatever, as a young person, she's not considering the consequences. She's not thinking that far ahead into the future. And it even points that out when, uh, like her character is sort of like it's explained to her that's like, look, you're gonna be 18 in 3 years, and then that at that point, like you can do whatever the fuck you want. And her response to that was just like, well, that doesn't seem like it's a long time for you guys because you've already had so many years, but like I'm like, what is she, however fuck old she is, 16 or
she was
15.
15, 15, I
And
believe, yeah.
so like she's just like low key being like snarky and saying like aha, and they even pick up on, oh, she's calling us old, wow, that's
Yeah.
so clever. I like that,
Well,
in this one, they kind of humanize her a bit more and make her seem less like that
a
she's a
robot,
well, like, yeah, like she's a very intelligent, but it's also like she has no social skills, she has no street smarts, she has no like real like social awareness. And like
Mhm.
I like that Paul Rudd's character and uh the name
The mom?
Callie, Carrie
Yeah,
Coon
yeah.
are just like, yes, we know you're smart, but here's this other thing, like you're just being dumb about, kind of thing.
Well,
Uh,
since you brought that up, there was a point I wanted to make when you said that, like, she's being like kind of selfish, not thinking of the consequences, and being kind of reckless.
right,
Is that
self-centered, maybe.
Walter? Yes, but like Walter Peck like tells it like sidelines her, but
Yeah,
whenever he like sidelines her and says that she's not allowed to do this, I thought to myself, I go. I don't agree with it technically, but I go it's
No.
kind of a good call
Yes,
because
because she's
she's
reckless.
or like in the very beginning of the movie, she's firing the proton pack like
Yeah,
crazy
they
and
fucked up
probably
everything.
killing people who
Yes.
are in like apartments and stuff
Yes.
because she's just like
Yes.
like it's just firing at will, you know?
Yep,
And
and
she's not thinking of like, well,
that's
the
also not
aiming is
addressed
bad.
later in the movie because people fucking die in this
Yeah,
movie as a
yeah,
consequence of, her decisions in that, and that's never addressed. That's
yeah.
she's just like, "Oh, I was tricked, I was trying to, like, make a friend, and, I thought I was finally understood," and it's like, "No, bitch, you got a bunch of people killed, but it's
Yeah.
cool because family, and, like, we still love you," and
And those people were vagrants and they didn't have any
yeah,
family, they're fine.
right, yeah, like I saw that and that's the first thing I thought, like, "Oh, they're not gonna fucking talk about this shit at all."
No, yeah. Like,
Where are the
literally she
consequences to those actions?
but
Nowhere.
that's the one thing I was kind of curious about whenever we
Yeah,
talked about Kong and
yeah.
the fact that there's a high body count. I go, there could have been a high body count in this movie
There
also,
absolutely
especially
was.
whenever like the freeze comes over. I go, I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure like that someone surely got stabbed with those icicles that are popping out of the ground. And the
yeah.
fact that it just covers the
I
entire
mean,
city, I go, people are definitely
the
dead.
dude at the smoke shop, the clerk at the very least got fucked for no reason.
Yeah,
Like, he's
yeah.
dead. He's super dead.
I was like, it kind of reminded me of Terminator, like the whole Sarah Connor just looking for the person and they fucking just killed him. Kill the next
Oh,
person. How who knows how many, smoke shop people died because of the fact they couldn't find Nadeem, you know?
that's true. But but yeah, that's where I kind of am with the story for this. Like, it has it sort of has two plots. The main being the relationship between Phoebe's character and the rest of her family. Like Gary, Paul Rudd's character, sort of coming into his own and
Mhm.
like stepping into like the role of the dad, the dadu kind of thing, and
Yeah,
like it was a lot of I really liked their family dynamic and their interactions, as how things like just sort of evolve with them. When Callie is telling him like, no, like you need to be more of an asshole, and he's like, I can be mean, and he like takes her like dirty clothes and like throws it on the floor, and he's like,
yeah.
oh, I'm sorry, hold on, like, and then he's like, all right, hold on. I'll be nice to you. I'll be an asshole to your kids. And she's like, that's what I want, like, fucking great. Like,
Yeah.
this movie was very, like, a lot family friendlier than I was, um
Anticipating?
not really anticipating, but like, it's it was not as it didn't make me cringe so
Mhm.
much. Like, the parts that I didn't care for were, of course, were like Phoebe's character, like, coming into her own little realization, her little, like, uh, adventures on her own. I thought were kind of cheeseball because it was just very, like, very plain. Where it's like, again, she's just angsty. She's like trying to understand, but like also thinking that she's superior all the fucking time. So like, she doesn't consider that she could be wrong about something, that kind of shit. When it's just like,
Well,
yes,
it's
yes,
'cause she's too because she's very intelligent, that's why, like,
right, yeah,
she's been right about a lot of things,
right. She's too self
and
confident that it's
the fact that, she's that young and that smart, like and
right.
she's smarter than pretty much everyone else around her,
Oh, you cut
like
out a little there, dude.
oh I said she's smarter than pretty much everyone else around her,
Right, right. And
so, yeah,
so it leads from self-confidence into just arrogance, I
yeah,
guess. And that's where she starts fucking up left and right because she's like, I mean, yes, you have the intelligence, but you don't have the experience. So like,
right,
why the fuck are you gonna like disregard that kind of thing? Do you want to repeat the same fucking mistakes that your parents did, for example? No?
right,
Okay,
yeah,
then fucking listen to what they have to say and maybe try not to do that shit, like,
right,
otherwise
for
it's
sure,
gonna suck. Like, learn from someone else's mistakes. And she, in thinking how, uh above or superior, she is to everyone else around her, because she really does not care for her family, for a while. Even Gary, when she straight up says, yes, you're a scientist, you're the exception, she's still like very fucking like casual about it, like, all right, look, I know you're smart too, but like, you're old people smart, or you're like teacher smart, or that kind
yeah.
of shit. And
Well, that's just also just teenager shit, you know,
Yeah,
that's just
yeah,
teenager shit, like, that happens to pretty much everyone, but
yeah.
I think they kind of, like, she represented what, I guess a teenager with
She did that
that
very
level of
well.
intelligence
Yes.
does. Yeah,
So
she did really
the
well with
thing
that.
is, like, making me dislike her character and that, I was like, okay, good, that it's working the way I thought it was meant to. Like
Yeah,
she's putting
it's
out
good that
that,
she has an arc, you know, like, where
mm.
she's, like,
And it's a pretty
she's shown
severe one.
she's shown
Yeah.
to be flawed because, I mean, she is a teenager, and I
Right.
guess
Yeah. Yep.
the she just because she has the intelligence doesn't mean that she's, like, this she's just
She
so strong, she knows everything, she knows that
right.
she is a teenager and that, that's showing us that she is a teenager and she's going through all these, like, emotional things,
I think
and
it
that is
was
something
pretty well and
she doesn't
interesting.
know too much about, so that's
Right.
why
So she learned
has
some
to go through it.
very hard lessons.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
to me, again, like I thought that was great because she was sort of the only one with the problem. Everyone else,
yeah.
like they were all just fine, trying to do their own thing and like proceed as a family. Finn Wolfhard's character, he's just chilling, fucking around with Slimer. You know, that
Well,
was
yeah,
fucking funny.
that's another thing where like, the forced aspect is like I like seeing Slimer, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, they didn't really have much for Finn Wolfhard to do,
No,
so they go like, "Oh, just
no, they
give him a scene where he's trying to,
yeah.
battle, like, catch Slimer or something," you know?
Yeah, so
That's
I think that just sort of plays into more to my theory again is that aside from Phoebe's character, uh, uh, the other cast were fitting into the slots of the old guard, the old Ghostbusters 2,
yeah,
people. So uh, so yeah, like that kind of is fitting to me. I'm not expecting a whole lot of of anything to change in that when I think of it that way, and
mhm,
I'm cool with that. Even though, like again, it's just one whole big member berries kind of fucking situation. Um,
yeah,
that's why I didn't think it was forced because again, like it wasn't its own story; it was the same story,
right, right,
and Phoebe's character was sort of the main plot line to where they had the actual development, the actual like just nuance and whatnot background consequences, I guess. So, and yeah, like I just really love the humor. So that was another thing for me. Like it kind of hit all the funny parts. I never had like a moment where I was like, all right, this is dumb. I hate it. Like it was mostly just
right,
like, oh, Phoebe's being a bitch. Okay, got it. Cool.
yeah.
Or and
Well,
this is why or
I will
whatever.
say, like, though I had some issues with, like, the story and the little forced aspects, it didn't entirely take me out of the movie. I did enjoy it. I thought it was
Yeah,
fun. I thought it was enjoyable. And
yeah,
again, let's talk about we've talked about, like, the main, like, family
yeah,
aspect.
yeah,
Let's talk a little bit about the actual Ghostbusters themselves. Like, what you fucking right now I've on the TikTok or like I think even Instagram, I've noticed like this bit of a I want to say it's not like a resurgence or anything, but like people are talking about how well Ernie Hudson looks
don't
and how
call it a
like
comeback. Yeah, he's
yeah,
jacked as hell, dude.
and it
Like the
said he's like
guy's
78 years old.
78. Yeah.
That's fucking crazy, dude. And he looks fucking amazing. Like
He well, like
I bet you he smells good too.
we fucking met him,
Yeah,
dude,
we
and
did.
he did
Yeah,
not look. I mean, he was wearing the jumpsuit and shit, and he
yeah.
didn't look anything like that,
If
And
I find the picture, I'll put it up kind of like right
yeah,
here,
I got to
you
look for
know.
mine. Yeah,
But I
he doesn't look like that at all in that
no,
because
he
it's
doesn't.
loose
Like he looks
fitting and
amazing.
stuff. And then he
No,
comes
well,
in
like
here.
the thing is they're showing pictures of him, like, online and stuff, and
Yeah,
some guy was, like, saying, "Do you see how great he looks?" And, like, they're like, "He's 78." The thing is he's, like, sitting, like, down with his hands like this, and he's wearing,
yeah,
like, a
and
short
he's
sleeve
like,
shirt, and he has,
yep,
like, a fucking huge ass trip. He's like, "That's a 70-year-old tricep right there."
yeah.
He does, he looks
It's
great,
like,
like,
yeah, he
I'm actually
does.
surprised, like, it's
Sun's out, guns out, baby. Just
yeah,
cha-cha. Yep.
and they were comparing him to the like, Dan Aykroyd and how, like
Oh, I think what was the joke? I just saw a joke earlier about someone like it was Ernie Hudson's character and Bill Murray sang side by side, and someone was like, like I'm so grateful to Bill Murray for like aging 40 years, the 40 years that Ernie Hudson should have had instead of him, you know. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
good.
Like, you can see the wear and tear on Dan Aykroyd, and I mean, let's be fair, Dan Aykroyd was a heavy smoker. If he still smokes to this day, I don't know,
Mm.
but,
I think he
it
says in the movie, like he jokes about it.
he
He's
just
like, "Oh,
quit
I quit
smoking,
in the
yeah.
'90s. You know, I
Yeah.
quit smoking in the '90s."
Well,
I'm like, maybe.
I don't know if you remember that documentary I had, like, it's, Dan Aykroyd on, like,
Yeah.
UFOs,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and,
Oh
like,
man.
it has that close up of Dan Aykroyd, like, I he makes me wanna smoke, but, like, the fact of the matter is that, like, he's lighting up one after the other during this interview, and they
Yeah.
get, like, a fucking close up of Dan Aykroyd's face, and he is sweating, and he's just fucking lighting up, but, like, so calm and articulate and stuff like that. This is pre Crystal Skull vodka, so, like, he didn't have to mention that at every, like, every
Every
turn or
5
every end
seconds.
of
Yeah, he's
sentence, you
not
know?
trying to market it. Yeah.
I don't know if you in your theater, noticed, when I went to go see a Late Night with the Devil, with, Bryce,
Mhm.
at the AMC, they have a bar in there, and, like, they have a guy who, like, mixes the drinks and stuff. They had a special Crystal Skull vodka mixed drink, that they would make you, and it had the Ghostbusters logo and shit, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I go there, I was like, "Oh, man." They had to, this had to be in his contract, they had to throw in some Crystal Skull vodka, like, as some kind of promotional aspect to this movie. I was just like, I didn't drink it, I didn't get it, but it looked like a terrible drink, but, uh,
Yeah. I mean,
I just thought it
it's
was
all right.
funny that they had somewhere along the lines of all this Ghostbusters stuff, there had to be some kind of promotional aspect where Dan Aykroyd had to say, and they had to throw in some Crystal Skull vodka in there
Yeah,
somewhere.
man. I mean, this is one of like the biggest, most marketed franchises out there. Of course. Like with the resurgence of these new movies, this new iteration of movies, there has been so much fucking merchandise. Like there's an Ecto One Transformer that I wanted to get for the longest time. And then I came to visit my brother, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I got it over here." I'm like, oh, "Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you! God damn it, I want that shit."
Of course, why
There's just
wouldn't he
like,
have that?
yeah,
Yeah.
there's like, I mean, there's just been my point was that there's just been a whole lot of like just money to be made on all that shit
Well,
lately.
I do like the fact that they,
And I'm there for it. Give me, give me,
well,
give me,
yeah,
give
yeah,
me.
I would love it for sure. I do like the fact that in the movie they do, like, kind of, acknowledge that there were, like, toys and things whenever the Ghostbusters first came out. Like, they had, like, that whole aspect to it.
Hmm.
Which I feel personally would have done the original the remake of the 2016 version some justice if they had just
Probably.
acknowledged the old Ghostbusters and carried on with the same story. Like, they
Yeah.
could have done it a little bit better, but since they just decided to completely annihilate the original movies
It might as well have not been a
and
Ghostbusters
in
movie
the
kind of
trailer
thing. I don't
and
know.
in the fucking trailer, I still remember that they kind of, like, alluded to the fact that Ghostbusters the name Ghostbusters had become, like, kind of a slur in a way because, like, they had, like, the Ghostbuster tagged on the subway and shit
Oh
like
yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah,
but,
yeah.
like, it made it seem like the world knew who the Ghostbusters were, and then these new, female Ghostbusters were gonna take over, but they just come since they didn't do that, I feel like if they had done enough to where, like, they would've brought the old Ghostbusters back and interacted with them that way, people might have liked that movie, but since they didn't, they don't.
Yeah, they didn't. It just. So I was trying to think of like
But also
the
they didn't
easiest
really have
way
a story.
to.
They didn't really have a story either. They were
No,
like
they didn't. This was
they were
like an S.
improv a lot of shit, like, didn't make any
So
sense,
this is the situation, and the easiest comparison I could think of. It just popped in my head now. For that one, the 2016 one, is that it's an SNL movie.
Yeah,
And
mhm.
all of the SNL movies, with some exceptions, are shit. Like how many
Uh,
and by I say
Wayne's
SNL
World?
movie, I mean
What is
like,
name? Yeah.
where they take the comedians that were all on that show and they put them in a movie, and it's like it's trash. They fucking
Now, there are a few
suck.
exceptions, obviously.
Of course. I'm sure
The
you can
well,
think of some. I
I don't
can't.
wanna talk too much about the 2016 version, but I do like the characters that they have or the comedians that they had playing those
Yeah.
Ghostbusters. I
They're
like them.
fucking hilarious. Leslie Jones, fucking
Yeah.
hilarious.
Um,
Melissa McCarthy.
Kate McKinnon, I think is her name, and
Oh
then,
yeah, yeah, Kim
the
McKinnon.
other main one.
I forget the other name, but like they are fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
They are absolutely funny fucking people, objectively hilarious. This was none of that. Like,
Yeah.
it just
But,
anyways.
moving on from that, I just did I like the interaction with the old Ghostbusters, new Ghostbusters. It was nice to see Janine for a bit.
Yes. Yes, it
It was
was.
nice to
I
see, like,
liked I liked
oh,
the little, like, comment that Bill Murray's character makes when he comes in there and sees her. He's like, "Janine, you finally suited up. You're looking sporty." You know, he's like
yeah.
fucking hitting on her and shit. And he like walks over to the wall, bah, takes out the bottle of liquor. Hey, I want some liquid
Yeah.
courage. Anyone? Like that was again like the reason I don't think it was any of these things were forced is because they were so smooth, man. Like it's just fucking coming in there
Well,
and like and when that moment happens, I was like, okay, it's either gonna be Bill Murray or it's going to be Rick Moranis. And I knew it was going to be Bill Murray. I was hoping it was, Rick Moranis might have had a
Rick Moranis
cameo.
not gonna show up in
No, he's
his
not. He's
movies.
not. But
Um,
so I was still pretty
I
happy about
I
that.
did think that Bill Murray was in this just enough to make
Just
him seem like
enough.
he's having a good time,
Yeah.
and he's not gonna get pissy
Right.
about
Yeah.
being in, like, a Ghostbusters movie. You
Yeah.
know, like, he had,
Just
like,
in there
2
just to
scenes.
have some fun.
He
Yeah.
was somewhere in the middle, and then,
Yeah.
like, at the end, and that was it.
His scene with Nadeem was really funny.
Yeah, yeah,
When
yeah,
like,
yeah.
he's testing him and he just immediately starts pissing him off and I'm like, where's he
Yeah,
getting all these pens? Like, I love it.
yeah.
Keep going. Like it was and there was nothing there. It just seemed like Bill Murray was like, all right, let's let him write a scene for himself and some shit, you know.
I did like again, the fact that, Ray and, Winston had bigger roles in this movie,
Yeah.
you know?
They had a lot more direction. They had a lot more of their own sort of um I guess background and like
Yeah,
goals in this one. And they do both have moments where like they kind of talk to each other and kind of reflect on
mhm,
what's been happening with the, with themselves and like what they're hoping to look forward to kinds of things. And like Ray at one point is telling him, he's like, man, you want to go somewhere and spend your golden years, like on the beach and relaxing. And oh wait, no, was it that
no,
was
no,
it
that was,
that was
Winston telling, Ray that
Winston telling Ray that, and Ray's like, "I'm spending my golden years the way I want to. Like, this is what I love, kind of thing."
yeah,
And I liked that sort of conversation with him because, at that point, Winston's just like, "Okay," and then later on, they sort of like reconcile, like, "Well, golden years," and he's like, "Yeah,"
yeah.
like doing their thing because it
Well,
was
I mean,
just
they
cool.
still have enough, like, energy in them to at least, do some ghost busting,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, to an extent. I mean, like, because at that point as well, Ray's character, he is starting to realize that like, okay, maybe I fucked up a bit,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
involving the people around me, and like he kind of has like a Phoebe moment or whatever in this one where it's like, okay, I got to like fucking focused on myself or whatever, and not
mhm.
realizing that these actions, the consequences of my actions and shit,
Mhm. Yeah,
and
because I know, like, Ray in the original Ghostbusters was more of, like, more of the reckless one, you know? He would kinda just go off and kinda do stuff.
right
I know Bill Murray's character was kinda just yeah, I guess he
along
was
for the ride.
more reserved, and, of course, Egon's more like he's the science, like, he's a more
Right.
rational person in these
Oh,
types of
but
things, but
Winston is always the voice of reason. He
right,
always
yeah,
always
right,
has been, and, like, he continues to do that. It's
yeah,
just that in this one, they give him more of a leading role because
right,
he's the boss,
yeah,
which is kind of a cool, like, flip, I think.
yeah,
Um, because he's very fucking like, he's very organized, he's very structured, like, he's very goal-oriented, like, everything about his character is, like, very well put together by this
yeah,
point. He's just like, "Alright, we got shit to do, let's do this."
yeah,
Without going into spoilers or anything like that. Like he really does, and it's what I think is interesting about it is that it just kind of like it doesn't hint at any of this. You're just like you start in the movie asking these kind of questions like where's Ray or what's the shit like what was supposed to be happening with before, and then it happens. And you're like fuck okay cool like
yeah,
goddamn, um, which I like. I like how that was handled because he goes again from being the part time backup, the part-timer to, like, the
to, like,
guy
the
in
main man,
charge.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was cool, I did like that.
he's calling all the
Yeah,
shots.
he was just, initially the hired hand in the original movies, and now he's, like, the guy who's running the
He's the
place, you know?
guy. Yeah, and,
He's
like,
the guy.
I mean, and
And and and
he's
and and
he's
and also considering, uh, like, uh Peter Venkman is like still kind of like floundering around, and Ray's just kind of like stuck in his like little own little world, like with
Right.
the bookstore, and then of course his YouTube thing.
Right.
But
Doing research.
without without Winston, like none of this would have been possible, to be honest. Because I mean, if he didn't keep on going in the background and
Right.
like you
Doing
said,
all this
building
work.
himself up and all this other kind of stuff, like he's the boss, he's the
Yeah.
guy in charge now. So it without Winston, like most of these things would not have been able to
Yeah,
occur. So
he's responsible for all of these a lot of these things, like being able to like become uh well, being able to even be a thing, like to be
yeah,
to develop within like the Ghostbusters organization, like the whole story itself as it further goes into the movie. Like he's I think one of the articles or some of such the titles I've been seeing is like he's the heart of the team, and it's like yeah, kind of. He's sort of like the
well, I mean, like you
bedrock,
said, the voice of reason, like
right?
he's
The
like
voice of reason. He's
yeah,
sort of like the I guess the anchor for everything
mhm,
that just sort of keeps it all together, and lets all of these other new Ghostbusters and all of his other buddies do their own keep doing their own thing in their own like
right, yeah,
little world and their own little ways is because he's there like sort of managing
background,
things
yeah,
in the background.
background,
Yeah. He's not pulling the strings. He's literally just like building shit for them to like
yeah,
fuck around. They're
mhm,
the ones that are like completely unaware or oblivious, I should say,
yeah.
to all of the work he ends up doing. Which is I thought was pretty amusing.
Well, that
Um
is to say, Roland, I mean, you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
yeah,
I do
I really
recommend
did
if
enjoy
you
it.
are a Ghostbusters fan in general, I feel like you would enjoy this movie,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
the new
Mhm.
characters wouldn't take away from any sort of
They
aspect
really
of
don't.
the
They
love
really
you
don't.
have of the original
They
Ghostbusters.
really don't because like again, with the exception of Phoebe, because her character has like her own sort of direction and lines, dialogue that's sort of specific to her. The family, like they've got great lines. They've got a great relationship with each other. Like they're very uh uh they're just they work well together.
You know,
Like in a
as
general
cheesy as this
sense.
line was, I still liked it even though they showed it in the trailer. Whenever Paul Rudd is, like, talking to the mom and she's like, "Just don't say it," and he's like, "Busting makes me feel good," like, it's
Oh
so fucking
yeah.
stupid and
She's like,
cheesy,
"Who
but I
you
was like,
gonna call?" And she's like,
yeah.
he's like, "Wait, I've got one more thing to say. It's important." What? And then he says that, and she's like, "Get out!" Like fucking, I love it. Like
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
fucking
That's good,
hilarious.
that's good.
Yeah, I mean, Paul Rudd is as always a national goddamn treasure, and let
I
Paul
would
Rudd
say,
do Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd and, Ernie Hudson are, like, the youngest looking adults in the
Yeah,
room and probably, like, the oldest for most
yeah,
of them, you know?
yeah. I I
It's
really
great.
enjoyed this movie. Like they're really again, like I know you think I guess some of it was forced, but the way I
No,
look
what
at it is it was
I would
just
have
it had two sort of interweaving plots, you know.
right, but like I said before, like, I do feel it was forced, but it didn't take me out of the fact that I still enjoyed
Hmm.
seeing those things, but
Hmm.
I will have to acknowledge that, some aspects of this movie are obviously not in any way integral to the plot. And some of the
No,
characters necessarily aren't again integral to the plot also. You could take some of them out and the shit will still like happen as is,
yeah,
but they're there. I enjoyed them and I just kind of moved on. And because I think I was more enamored with the fact that Ray and Ernie Hudson were kind of in there more, and I was just
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of like brought me back into it. Not if it was just a family maybe and they were just kind of like not there, the fact that they're there and all their interactions, like,
yeah.
helped
Like
me enjoy
they
the
were
movie
part of the
more.
greater story to
Yeah,
that, and like that was pretty cool and fitting for the most part
yeah,
because they had already had this. They've already established a ton of shit,
mhm,
from all the original movies coming up to this one. So it fits well, and I'm sort of glad that they sort of used them in that aspect. If
yeah.
that makes any fucking sense, it probably doesn't. It's good beer, 8%.
Anyways,
Yeah,
yeah, um, all water for me, unfortunately.
damn it,
So yeah, I know.
you're so
If you
healthy.
like this review, please like and subscribe. I would say check it out in theaters if you can,
Yeah,
before it's out. I know Afterlife isn't I don't think Afterlife is streaming anywhere.
I
that
don't
to
know.
my knowledge. But I mean, I would say get yourselves copies of these movies
Yeah,
because who
yeah,
knows
yeah.
if
I'm
they
gonna
ever
watch them
will
again.
see the light of day. I mean, have your Ghostbusters 1 and 2. It's your choice if you wanna have the 2016 just to complete the package, and then throw in Afterlife and then Frozen Empire on top of it. I real quick before we sign off, I did feel the villain was a little weak, but not too much, weakness to throw me out of the movie. I should have mentioned that earlier, but
Mhm.
anything else last
I
thing to
thought
say?
the villain was cool. I can understand what you're saying though,
A
necessarily.
anything else
Um,
to say on the before we sign off?
wait for the steel books.
Wait for the steelbooks. In fact, go to Walmart. They have plenty of steelbooks available, and well, it's actually like when I went to Walmart the other day, like they were sold out of a lot of shit. Hence why I picked up Little Monsters.
That's right.
Yeah, so
Good shit.
but
Yeah.
yeah, check out Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire, Ghostbusters fans, non-Ghostbusters fans, whatever. This movie will be forgotten pretty quickly because I didn't see there was no one in the theater when I went, and I haven't seen like it. I don't know the numbers on it right now, but like there's
Oh,
so much shit coming out
I
this
think
last couple of weeks in March, and then
yeah,
Godzilla came out this week, and
it
then I know
it has
Kung Fu
gone
Panda's
down.
out too,
Yeah.
and that might take away for
It
the whole
has.
child
It's
aspect of
I
it.
was reading an article about how, like, it's already taken a chunk, but, like, the thing is they've already made a lot of money,
Yeah.
as well. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, they've already passed their budget,
No,
in the
that's
box
fine then.
office. There
That's
was
fine.
a 100 one as at the minute that I'm looking at this, it's probably old already or more than that, but they made 110 million in the box office, and their budget was 100 million. So
Oh,
at
that's
this
good,
point,
you
it's
know.
just profit for them,
All
I
right,
guess.
well, that'll be it for us. We'll see you next time on the next review. I'm not sure which one will be next, but you should get a Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey
Oh,
2 coming
god
from me
damn it.
because this motherfucker missed
Yeah.
it. So
God,
we'll
I'm
see
so pissed off about
we'll
that,
see you
dude.
next time. Bye.
This bitch